Dear ones, I am the Archangel Michael. Well, this week, I started with a position, commented on forgiveness and the request for forgiveness. So today, I will comment with you about your surroundings. I think it will be of great help to many. Before I start the subject, I have to go back a little bit. How are families formed? Not physically. How are families formed in relation to souls? I already said here that some souls are repeated over time within that whole universe of souls who were already part of your family. Usually when this happens, souls come to help, never to ask for any kind of karma. Souls that pursue other souls, it is another matter, it does not fit this one. So how are souls chosen who will incarnate in a particular family? I already said here, a soul's greatest goal is always to evolve. So if the same soul were to always be reincarnated in the same family nucleus, there would be very little evolution, because it would be the same country, the same city, it could even be elsewhere. But the tendency is to remain in the same physical environment and not learn anything new, because all those who would return together would repeat the same mistakes. There would be no growth. So, when a soul is going to incarnate, she seeks other countries, other cities, other family groups, so that she can experience new experiences. For example, if the statement were true, that everyone comes back to fulfill the previous karmas, why did your father and mother have only one child, and you had 4? Who are the other 3? You see, this type of statement is very complicated. So the soul chooses where it wants to be born. For example, she feels like learning a different language, so she will incarnate in the country of that language, so she can learn. I already said that here, but I'll remind you. The easiness you have to speak several languages is the movement of your soul around the planet. Some study, and fail, because the soul doesn't know anything about that. Others have a greater facility, because they have already been through all these languages. And then it becomes easier to learn. So the goal of the soul, when it incarnates, is to define the family that will make it grow, evolve. So she decides on location, date, everything she can choose. And then the universe conspires to find a suitable family that can teach her the lessons that she has to learn, and that some lessons she can also teach that family. And then she incarnates in that family. This is a point. Second important point. Each soul, now I will say the opposite. I will measure from the last stage that the soul is. From the highest point, that soul is. A third soul, which has never evolved to higher dimensions, has a certain frequency, in this case, an essentially third frequency. I'm not talking about the body, I'm talking about the soul. Already more evolved souls who have fractals in higher dimensions, they don't have the same frequency as the soul of a third. Even if they have a fractal here in third, they are evolved souls. I already told you. The soul is one. Each piece it enfolds feeds the soul as a whole, so it evolves. So a soul, which has already reached the 8th dimension, for example, it has an 8th dimension frequency. The soul, I'm not talking about a fractal here, I'm talking about the soul. So if you are a soul from third, incarnating in a family essentially from third, then those souls will learn the lessons they have to learn from each other. There is no soul imbalance. They all have the same level, which is the third dimension. I am not saying here that they are all on the same level. Remember, inside the dimension house, there are levels, so a soul can already be at the last level of the third dimension, incarnating in a family that is at the first level. And certainly, the big idea is to make that family go up, evolve. Now, let's take the example of evolved souls that incarnate in families, the highest frequency of which is third. What happens? First of all, some souls from third love this. They are those souls hungry for knowledge, for growth. So when they approach a more evolved soul, They like what they feel, because the devolved soul, despite having a fractal inferred, it is very wise. You don't realize this, but often, that soul takes certain postures, which makes those around him, and who are extremely eager for knowledge, like what they are seeing, what they are hearing, and start a journey of evolution as well. That is how souls evolve. I already said here too, there is always another soul that helps to pass the level. So this is a point where souls get along very well, and human consciences, consequently, too. There is an integration between those two beings, those two people. Impressive. That's what can happen to that great friend, who has such a special place in your heart, sometimes bigger than your own family members. It is because that soul is trying to tell you a lot, and you are enjoying learning. It can be an evolved soul, like a third soul, which is at a higher level. This is a point. The other point. They are those souls who do not want to walk, like what they do, are afraid of everything, do not want to evolve. Leave me here in my corner. Everything is fine. Here I already know everything. I don't like surprises, I don't like challenges. I want to stay here in my corner, and there comes that soul, extremely evolved in that familiar bosom, and it starts by its own light, causing the evolution of those around it. Yes, the very frequency of that soul tends to balance the others, making others evolve. Only that soul is so fearful, so imprisoned at the point that she does not like it. She wants her will to be respected, she doesn't want to evolve. And then friction begins to happen in personal life of these two souls. The two incarnate people begin to not understand each other. And that explains the disagreement that many of you have with father, mother, siblings. Because it is your family bosom. You chose that family to help you evolve, but some souls there don't want to. They want to stay where they are. And he are pulling them, because his light pulls the evolution of the soul. His frequency being higher pulls the frequency of that soul. Only she doesn't want to. So she doesn't understand, because she doesn't understand him. It is because she is angry, she does not want to move, and he insists. Then the relationship becomes very difficult. This happens to evolved souls, and to higher level souls as well. You try to teach some things, put some things, make that person evolve, within your own time, but he doesn't accept it. He reacts, because he is the eternal. Poor thing. It is that poor soul, who never knows anything, who is always on the outside. And then you insist that he evolves, but he doesn't want to. But he likes to complain, to say that he is the poor thing. So that's it, my brothers. This is what happens with the energetic difference of souls. Souls of the same frequency understand each other perfectly. And then I will give as an example, this large group that we have here. Do we have souls from third? We do. But souls from third quite evolved, who are ready, have a foot to go to the fifth dimension. And they never resonated with nothing above here, but who are enjoying what they are seeing, what they are learning, and are predisposing themselves to evolve. But the vast majority of this group here are evolved souls. So you are attracted by the energy frequency itself. This energetic frequency, this frequency gap, can be carried to many points in your life. At work, that colleague who teases you and you don't like him either, his presence bothers you, so you react. There are already those who like to be close, because somehow they perceive that you exhale something good, and they like to be close, like a fly on the lamppost. It is exactly your light, your very high frequency, that makes these people come close. And they like you, because they feel very close to you, because their light is pushing them towards evolution. But there are those that don't. So those are the ones that you have problems with. It is that boss who does not implicate anyone, only you. It is that friend that you like, but cannot understand. It is a family member who also fights with you, because they do not accept the light that you emit. It is my brothers, You as human consciences do not realize this. They don't understand why you get along with so many people, but there are those who don't seem to like you. That's why, because your light bothers them, and they don't want to move. They are poor things, and they want to be in the place of poor things their whole lives. So they fight against it. Then they fight against you, because you are the representation of evolution for them. Going back to talking about families, I have already taught you here to put your family in bubbles of light every day. What is the real purpose of this? Let's say it is not you, that you are consciously emanating light to them. You are enveloping them in a layer of light. For your love, for your affection, for your will, for that souls to evolve. Are you breaking their free will? No, you are not. You are sending light, and that souls will absorb this light if they want to. It's like, let's imagine that you can stay underwater. It is an example. You survive right under the water. So when you involve those people in the bubble of light, it's like that light is water. And then whoever is inside will drink this water or not. He will be able to keep his mouth shut and not absorb that water, as he will be able to drink from that water and evolve step by step, because his light is doing this to him. So notice that you are doing good for your friends, your family, your pets. You can send light to whomever you want, even to your enemies. Do this. Remember that request for forgiveness. You asked for forgiveness. And now you are going to put that one that you asked for this forgiveness in your bubble of light. That is, you are giving them a gift. And those you have forgiven, likewise, put them in the bubble of light. There it will be tested, the feeling that you used to ask and to give forgiveness. Then put those who before your request were your enemies in some way inside bubbles of light. This is called unconditional love, because you are putting them to evolve. So, do that. So, to put everyone around you in the balls of light is to allow them the chance to want to swallow that light. And little by little, they are evolving. Because light evolves, because it is a frequency. Then they gradually evolve. It is clear that this light has a factor that they will keep it or not. Let's say that soul absorbed all the light that you sent. Then the next day, he doesn't keep that light, because he judges, condemns, complains, thinks negative things. He is a low vibration person, so that light will be consumed quickly. It is as if it were a large glass, and that at night you fill that glass with light. I already said that here for you, and that during the day he says so many bad things, so many bad feelings, that light is being consumed, and then everything you sent was gone. The other people who send you light and have a reasonable path are not people who usually complain about everything. They are people with a good heart. They are people who live a normal life. What happens to so much light? Because they don't consume that light at all, the glass is still full when you release more light the next day. So, it's like a reservoir. You emanate light to these people, and every time you emanate light, that glass fills, that reservoir is full. And then the person takes his day and consumes a little or half, it doesn't matter, but does not consume that whole reservoir. And then again, you're going to send light to her. If you send the same quantum of light, that reservoir will overflow. So what happens? The moment you start sending light again, that remaining light from the previous day is passed to another reservoir. Let's say so. It is as if the soul, that frequency of the soul, gains that little bit of light and accumulates. Every day the light that remains accumulates in the soul, the reservoir that receives light daily. Let's say the fractal reservoir, which is there inferred. It is his reservoir. He received the light, he spends that light, and what is left goes to the soul. So that soul goes up in frequency, even without knowing it. Because many are sending light to friends, to other people, and these other people don't even know it, but they are receiving that light. This is unconditional love. The path of that soul will depend on himself. It is like I said. If he is a good-hearted soul who has a positive walk, he is storing a lot. Now, if he consumes that light all day, he is parked in the same place. But you are sending the light, that is what matters. So this is what happens when you send light to a person. So put that old enemy in that bubble and you will see, as if everything that was in relation to them will end. You may even be friends again, and your hearts will become lighter and lighter. So, my brothers, the environment, the very light of each soul, affects the environment, even if it is only a soul from third. Depends on the degree of its evolution. I will give an example here. Unfortunately, the cultural gap in some families is immense, because many parents come from poor families and didn't have much chance or the enthusiasm to change their lives. They grew up as a faithful mirror of their families of origin. So I will give here, as an example, a couple who both came from poor families, little study, little knowledge, and then they get together and they have a son. This soul will tend to be a much more evolved soul than they are, so that they evolve. Then it will be that soul that will squander so much light, that will modify the mind of this couple, so that they do not pass on to this child the concepts they had, that he was born poor and will have to live poor all his life. So those parents have that urge to make that child grow up. No, our son, he won't be like we were. He will get there. And they do everything for that son to evolve, because the light of that soul changed their mind. Their minds have evolved so that they understand that they also need to evolve. And as that child grows, and they put a whole hope in it, that it will change the destiny of both, that it is not the same as what their life was, it makes that child go far. And that soul will do what with those parents? The two will also be evolving, because they have already changed their minds. Those souls no longer believe that they were born to be poor, because they are seeing their son there, where they wanted to be. And many times this son also begins to return teachings to these parents, and they are also evolving as a human being and as a soul. Then you can ask, but what about when generation after generation, generation after generation, do everyone remain in the same place? There are lessons to be learned. Because in that couple, going back to the same example, in that couple that believes they were born poor, lived poor and will die poor, many chances have already been given for them to change this path. But the belief that they have is so great that a soul will come exactly like theirs. And they will continue to think, I was born poor, I live poor, I am going to die poor. And children in the same way. And there it perpetuates itself, that limiting belief within that family. Of course, the process is not that simple. There are lessons to be learned, which are what weigh in the decision. Which soul will incarnate and where? Not everyone who is poor today was poor all their lives. Quite the contrary. Many were extremely stingy, extremely merciless towards others. So they went back in that life to feel everything they caused with the most extreme poverty to learn the lesson. So my brothers, when you come together and have a child, knowing which soul to turn over, there is a big unknown, because it will depend on the path of the father, the path of the mother, the lessons that both have to learn. Because that soul that comes there, it will teach a lot, but the father and mother also have the obligation to teach a lot, to pass good values, to pass good habits, and not to distort that soul. Remember, you have the human conscience. Then an evolved soul may even come and grow in an extremely negative environment. You will need that soul to be very evolved so as not to get involved, but the vast majority allow themselves to be involved and go to the other side. This also happens. So knowing which soul will come in your baby, no one can know. A sick child may come, a defective child may come. Why? Someone has a lesson to learn there. You don't understand, but your soul understands why it is going through that. So the main foundation of this video today, which I hope you have understood, is the difference in frequency between souls. Evolved souls, extremely evolved, have a very high frequency. Fractals here inferred is something else. I'm talking about the soul. Souls from third have a frequency of third, but they also have levels. The frequency it has. It's a frequency range, and within it, it has several levels of evolution. So that explains why there are many disagreements between people. Sometimes you look at a person, and you don't like it. You don't know, you've never seen it. But when you look, you don't like it. Why? Why is that? There can be two reasons. The first, you are a low-frequency soul. Do not understand low frequency as negative. Please, I'm not talking about that here. Coming back. So you are a low-frequency soul. You are looking at an extremely evolved soul. And you are that poor soul who doesn't want to move. You are right there sitting in your corner. So you are angry. You don't like the guy, that other person who comes there, even though you don't even know him. But your souls turn around. And then, that is so strong in the soul, that it passes into your human consciousness. And you say, I don't like that person. Why don't you like it? Is there an explanation? That is the explanation. Or, the second possibility. You are an extremely evolved soul, and you see in that other one a threat, because he is not a soul of light. So you feel, as you do not interpret the feeling that comes from the soul, you say you don't like it. But it is a danger sensor. There is a soul that is not evolved and quite negative. So this is how you start to dislike people. There are both possibilities. Can I even say that there could be a third party? You are that person who does not like anyone, judges by appearance. You just looked and, I didn't like her. Because her appearance did not please you. You have already judged and condemned. And you thought it was good to say that you don't like that person. You don't want that person close to you. Because, I'm too good for that person. That's it. That's what you feel. So my brothers, you can see that if we put all of you, by size of soul frequency, you would make a big ladder. There are very short ones and extremely high ones. It would be an interesting graph. In terms of quantity, I can say that those lower frequencies have a huge plateau. The higher ones have much less. And that is what we are trying to change. We want many of those who are still at low frequencies to reach frequencies of third, to be able to ascend. That is our goal. And teach you how to put them in the bubble of light. This is fantastic, because it is giving these souls the opportunity to keep that small amount of light energy every day. And their souls evolve in frequency. Then, over time, at any moment they can wake up. Because it will reach such a level that it will push that soul to awaken it. So notice what you are doing. Do you understand how important it is to involve people in light? Do you understand now? So do it. This is an act of pure love. Then when that moment comes, the separation of the wheat from the chaff, you can say, I did my part. I did what I could. I sent love and light to him every day. And he threw it away. He literally took the light reservoir and turned it over in the trash, so it didn't have enough frequency to evolve. And he will leave. But your conscience, your heart will be calm, because you will be sure that you have done what you could, that you have done everything possible. But it was the choice of that soul. It was not ready for so much light. So my brothers, this is the great teaching. Send light to everyone. If you don't know everyone's name or don't remember, no problem. Remember that I taught you to put them in a grand auditorium. Then you feel them there. You don't have to repeat everyone's name every day. Create a great auditorium in your mind and feel the people there. Then they will be sitting in your mind. The next day, when you send the bubble of light, you will see everyone sitting. You know where everyone is sitting, because you put them there. And that's what I said. There may be some who will get up. Don't insist on putting him back down. Got up. The universe is already telling you that there is no light. He wants to stay here. Understand? It is not that he is a negative person, nor an evil person. He is just not ready to evolve. He doesn't want to evolve. He wants to stay where he is. It is his right. So everyone feels that in that great auditorium. Your families are big. Do you know everyone? No, you don't. So you can put the one you know, and his descendants. You can leave a row for his descendants. You don't know who they are, but in your mind are the descendants of that relative of yours, that friend, and everyone will be sitting there, because the light will know how to reach everyone. Because you said so, and his descendants. And you don't have to repeat it all the next day. Always visualize that stage, see all the people sitting there, because you put them there. It is a large auditorium, it is not small, so that you can absorb the largest number of people. So put so and so. He is a friend, so and family, and leave an empty row. All family members will be sitting there. Then put each one in a row in your auditorium. It's a big auditorium, I already said, and everyone is sitting there. So the more people you put in that bubble of light, the more you will help these brothers to evolve. Because every day they will gain a little bit of energy of light, and will increase their frequencies. So do that. How will the light reach relatives? My brothers, you are all connected. A fort is ideal. The big bubble of light will act on everyone there. Then the relatives of the one will be sitting there. Some may even see them, even without knowing them. Do it in faith. Do it believing that the light will get there. If you don't believe this, then put only those you know. But whoever believes can ask for his family, and everyone will be sitting there. The light will know how far to go. It is as if the one you know was a generator. And when you say your family members, he will go on spreading the light to everyone he knows, because he knows who your relatives are. Then he will spread that light. Through him the light will reach everyone. No, it will not arrive subdivided, it will arrive with the same intensity. This is quantum. So my brothers, do this. Don't just be crying for those you think are not going to evolve. Act on them. That's what I said. This is not an invasion of free will. This is the role of each soul, to evolve those around it. So do that, and you will have a conscience and a calm heart, which acted on everyone. And if they don't, it's because it was their soul's decision. I am the Archangel Michael. I am here, always ready to help you on this journey, and I believe that the reservoirs of most of you here have been very full throughout the day. Thank you for watching.